Perfect. So hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. I have the most beautiful divine feminine, Sharon, who's the author of The Answers Within, and I have the book right here, who is actually my first video premiere. And I'm so excited to have you here, Sharon.
Thank you for having me, Michelle. This is amazing.
I am so excited. I have to tell you, I love your book. We did have a little discussion before in regards to how this book came to me, and my sister gave it to me because I'm actually stepping into my own purpose and mission in life. And when she brought this to me, it felt like divine poetry. Literally, that's what it reminded me of. So thank you firstly for writing this. But my first question for you today is, because I really did, I this was, what is this smudge? Because I've been a makeup artist for 17 years. I'm like, oh my God, this is like bronzer just smudged across the page.
I love that question. That is a really good question. The thing is that I designed this book cover myself, and that is what came through. I don't know, like I put it together and these were the parts that came together. Yeah.
Anyways, I love it because it just reminds me of like beauty and like makeup. And just for me, it just spoke to me personally. I was like, whoever this is, whatever's inside this book is meant for me.
But you know what comes through for me right now about this? Because I've actually, to be honest, I've never really thought about it.
Okay.
Like
really?
more deeply about it. Because for me, that's for me, like when I create, I just feel into it and I'm just like, yeah, this feels right, perfect, it's done. But I never really thought about it more deeply. But now looking at it, I'm like, you know, because it's basically someone like drawing a finger.
Exactly.
It's like because it's about the purpose, your purpose, and it's your unique fingerprint, your unique expression that you're just like underlining and like.
So beautiful though. See, this is why I love it. I had to ask you.
Yeah. I actually love that we're starting out like this.
Perfect. I'm really glad because honestly, everything in this book is amazing and it speaks to me personally, like I said. So when I saw this, I was like, yes, this is for me. So let's discuss a little bit because I really do want to discuss about purpose and mission. And I know inside the book you said like you can't just go on YouTube and like look up purpose or life purpose. And I'm sorry if I'm not quoting it properly. I apologize. But I really want to like spread the word on what this is and what this means to you. So if you can speak a little bit about the book, of course, but then maybe just transition into the purpose aspect, that'd be fabulous.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So thank you. So about the book in itself, for me, that was a quite magical experience because there was a book for a while. And as we often do when we feel a calling to purpose, to like step up and do something that we've never done, that's maybe outside our comfort zone, but yet we feel like, you know, this is something I need to do. But then the voice comes up that says, you're not a writer, you can't do this, you can't. And at some point I just gave in. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this. And it just came through within 2 weeks of writing. Like everything I just created the container and the structure for myself that I committed to. Like there was full commitment to this. But I just sat down every day and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote and I didn't do anything else. And yeah, and it was almost like it was right there. And it was just like this little funnel that was above my head and was just like streaming through and throughout my fingers. And
how beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, that was the experience with the book. And then everything just came together within, I think, like 6 weeks. And it was released on Amazon. It became a bestseller in 4 categories right away. So yeah, the whole experience was just really magical and very, very guided, where I even feel now when I look at the book sometimes and I open it and I read something like, did I write this? Like, this is so deep. This is exactly what I needed to hear at this moment in time as well.
Amazing. So divine poetry is like hands on what it is. It's like it's coming from a higher source. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. Like that really opens my heart, and it feels so grateful that you see it that way and that it touches you in that way. that's beyond what I could have imagined when I sat in my room writing this.
Honestly, like, it's so beautiful. Like I said, like, I've just started doing my mission and my purpose work, but I've been on my own journey for, 3+ years. So it's like everything just resonated like it was meant for me. So it's amazing. It really is.
Oh, thank you.
And I know you and I have like similar backgrounds too. Like, I know your background a little bit, but sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but do you want to actually just dive in a little bit about your background before like you started writing this book?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And if I may, I just want to add to your experience with the book, because, there was one experience that really touched me where someone said they were reading the book and they were reading the lines, and then they felt like an energy came down from somewhere and it touched them on their shoulder, and all the worries and the stuff that was going on for them was lifted, and they suddenly had a new perspective.
Wow.
And I read that in one of the Amazon reviews in the book, and I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, this blows my mind, to be honest. Like, my mind is blown about this, because it always felt like it had this own energy. It's like this little energy entity, the book, and it's just like moving around like its own entity. And like reading stuff like this, I'm just like, wow, I'm glad I was a channel to be able to bring that forth. So just wanted to say that, because
that's beautiful. Thank you for adding that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, because of what you said, it reminded me of that. And and my background is basically, I did the whole, I bought into everything that society tells you to do. I went to university, I had 2 diplomas in the US and in Germany. And I did the whole career thing where I worked my way through different jobs to then helping build the most successful e-commerce company in Europe. And that was my identity, that I was completely immersed in that. And I had no private life, and I was just working all the time. And I realized that job where I spent like all of my energy and all of my time, that was so important to me that I made it me, basically. Like, when you make a job your identity, like when someone asks you like, what do you do? And you're just, I am this person, like I am my job.
Yeah.
That's basically where I went. And and it was, to a certain point, like, I've always been spiritual, and I've always been spiritually interested. My dad got me on that path really early on. So it was always a part of me that I was really interested in. But I felt like, I don't know, I just went into this whole society thing, you need to have a job, you need to have this income, you need to do all these things. You need to have the house, the car, the husband, the dog, the job, the I don't know whatsoever, and then you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
And for me, there was this point where I realized, wow, I have the director title. Wow, I have the 6 figures. I have, like, that was all in that moment in time that I could actually want from that job. And I wasn't happy. I didn't feel any different. And I still felt, because I was leading this double life. I don't know if I told you this. I think I explain it in the book. And I just felt like an imposter in my own life. I was having this great job, and people at work were actually all like, a little afraid of me. Because I was so direct, and I was just, like, whenever I showed up somewhere, I just meant business. Business and clarity and just moving things forward. I was so in my masculine energy. I even had short hair.
Oh wow!
And I had short hair. I was just really my masculine energy, and I just meant business wherever I went.
I understand.
Yeah. And but then basically throughout all that time as well, when I left the job, I felt weak and I felt like a failure, and I was just living in a black hole. Because I was struggling with an eating disorder. I had bulimia for, lo and behold, 10 years of my life.
Wow.
Which was, it was just, of course, draining. But I think what was beyond the physical aspect of being drained, and the guilt that came with it, also like wasting money, wasting food, not feeling good enough, also just the whole mind chatter of how weak I am, how I can't control myself, how I can't even figure out something as simple as eating Like, why can't I not even figure that out? And I just felt like I was sitting in a black hole. And, you know, this polarity of where I was really great at work, and like, it got a lot of significance, and people were looking up to me and how well I was doing. Also my family looking at me like, wow, okay, great, she's on that career path and she's going really well. And then on the other side, I was just feeling like I did not have anything figured out in my life, and I was just weak and just out of control, basically. Just that polarity created this tremendous pain in me.
Well, it's always hard too, because like you said, it's we are brought and programmed right away to thinking what we should do, and being pressured to do certain things, and, you know, the money, the car, the career, all those things are supposed to bring you happiness. But like your story obviously shows that it didn't, right? And you put yourself in like a toxic, low frequency energy while you're trying to like bring up your, like when you were rising up, there was part of you that was shutting down. So I totally get it. And thanks for sharing that and being so personal, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to whatever aspect that what their story is. So good for you for, first of all, like coming out of it, because a lot of people don't, right? Like, we have to also give ourselves credit for actually stepping out and coming into the lights and facing yourself, really.
Absolutely. I talked to many women who can actually relate to that. That's also why I feel I want to share it, because so many people just share about, oh, you know what, I'm great here, I'm great there, and everything's been great, and this is just my path to greatness. But really the path to anything, to your becoming, to becoming more, is through the messiness that we go through. And I think the messiness just needs to be embraced, because that's when we learn the most. That's when we actually know there is room for us to become more.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
To grow into us. Yeah. And so,
thanks
for acknowledging it.
And that's another thing with your book too. It like gives people a voice, you know, because you can, like you said, you know, a lot of women who can relate. That, like, you can relate, but to speak up and to really own who you truly, truly are, that's such a blessing. Such a blessing.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Of course, it really is though. So yeah, like, again, thank you for sharing that. So go ahead. Did you want to say something?
One thought that came to me was that, you know, the way that I basically got out of that, maybe that would be interesting.
Speak on it, girl.
Like, this was just a problem. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but you know, I got to this point in the career where it was just thinking, am I going to be doing this for the next 40 years of my life? Is this it? Like, you know, there was always this drive to get to a certain level, but when I was at that level, I was like, but basically now I have what I wanted. What's next? Like, is this really how it's going to be? And I was already worked 70 hours per week. I was feeling drained. And I felt like I'm just going to get older and older. I'm not going to have more energy. And then there are all these young people, you know, streaming into the workforce. So I'm going to have to compete with those. And I don't know, just all these thoughts came up. On that one hand about the job and where it's going, and on the other hand where my soul was starting to talk to me and saying, hey, you want to help people. And I really felt like I want to help at least one person on this planet. So when I die, that one person is going to say, oh, she died, oh my God, but because she lived, my life got better and she influenced my life in that way, and it really helped me. I was just like, yeah, that's a bigger purpose in my life, where I'm actually here for a reason and I'm making a change, and not just being in corporate and selling stuff and looking at conversions. And that brought me to the point where I actually thought, okay, I need a break from this, and I wanted to go and really reconnect with my soul. I still remember I had this thought, I need to reconnect with my soul. And it was not about sitting on some beach somewhere and just reading a book or just lying in the sun. I really felt like I needed something that could reconnect me. And the thing that found me was a yoga teacher training in the Himalayas. So that's what I did. I went to the Himalayas for 5 weeks, and you go through this intense program where you get up at 5 and meditate, and you have this whole day until 10 p.m. And
Wow.
but it was really great because one moment of meditation, I had this out of body experience where I saw visions and like everything. It was so interesting because I was sitting in meditation. I was trying to sit in meditation. Let's call it that. Monkey mind and pain in the body and everything. But then suddenly everything got quiet, and I felt like I was being pulled out of my body. And it was so weird because outside I could hear the river and the birds and the leaves and the winds and everything. But it was suddenly just like mute, like someone had pressed the mute button, which was really like, I was surprised. I was like, what's happening? But I saw visions, and I got this very clear sentence: you created this life, you can create something differently. And something that moment for me changed, like a perspective shift in my life about where I was and who I was and what I can do. And with that perspective shift, this energy that I put into my job, this whole do, I have to get somewhere, and always pressuring my team as well to like hit a certain timeline or like something, like there was always a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety in some way.
Of course, I can imagine.
Yeah, that's just how corporate is. I mean, all these artificial timelines that actually sometimes nobody really cares about, and then you hit that target, but then it's like, oh yeah, I just need it next week anyway, and you're like, what the heck? Like, why did I spend 3 nights working on this? But like, it was just really interesting because when I came back from that, my team said there was a version of me that left and there was a version of me that came back, because I was so different after that. Like, that perspective shift was so intense.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that all that change is, it's really a shift in perspective. And it's just about us changing the way we see our world and the meaning we give it. That's all that change is. And we can have that type of change at any point during the day, any point in time. And it's just, shifting the story. That's what people always say, like, change your story. Look at it from a different angle.
It's very true. It's very true. And like you just said, you are the author to your own story. So write something new if you need to write it new, right? So this is actually a perfect segue to going into purpose, like, because you did tell a little bit of your past, kind of I call it the rebirth moments. It might not have been for you, but I consider the rebirth moments when you come in, you have that awakening, divine has spoken to you, and you started to see. So how did you get from that to stepping into your purpose?
That is a really great question. And quite frankly, if you had asked me probably like 2 years ago, I would have just told you, I found my purpose and everything is great now. But now, like, with my consciousness increasing and changing and shifting, like continuously just working on myself, working on my connection to the divine, I've come to realize that this notion of purpose is basically a vehicle for us to be on a path of ever becoming. And if we zoom out of purpose or this life, like asking, why am I even here? Like, what is this life really about? What I've come to realize, and this may resonate with some people, may not resonate with other people, depending on where they're at. But for me personally, at this moment in time, life is really about self-expression, about authentically expressing ourselves. And that is a journey. And through this continuous expressing of our true self, we become more aligned with spirit, more aligned with the one energy that we're all part of, because we keep shedding the layers of ourselves that are not in alignment and that we've taken on as kids or in past lives or through genealogical imprinting. And the further we let that go, the more we become ourselves. And through that journey of actually feeling this calling within us for destiny and for purpose, and just for becoming more of who we can actually be, that is actually the pull from our divine to move into alignment with the oneness of all that is, to become the creator of our experience, the conscious creator of our experience, beyond any limitations that we are faced with in this 3D dimension, to transcend that and to actually become powerful creators of our experience without all the nitty gritty fears and like little things that hold us back, thinking that we're this persona.
Exactly.
Because we're not this persona. So this is like, I don't know if this, I hope this will make sense to the viewers as well.
I hope so too, but if it doesn't, then they're on their own journey. And one day,
absolutely,
this conversation is timeless. Someone can click on this a year from now and be like, oh, okay, now
absolutely.
So that's fine. I totally get
it. Amazing. I kind of thought you got it. You were like, yep. And you know, like, because I knew you would ask me this, and I was actually sitting here before, and I was wondering, how do I best answer this with the consciousness that I have at this moment in time? Beautiful. And I truly believe that the feeling that so many women feel at this point in time, that they feel like there is more and they are made for more, and there is this pull within them, although they may not know what their purpose is or where they're going, but they feel they have to go, and that they need to be more, and that they need to serve in some way, that they can share their gifts in some better way that actually benefits other people. I truly believe that this calling within them is really that pulling to self-actualize and to really realize who you are. And you know, the Dalai Lama, he said, the world will be saved by the Western women. And I thought about that statement just the other day as well. And I really, like, yes, the women in the Western world are the ones who reflect on themselves, who actually question their life, who actually ask themselves these deeper questions more easily than men. Because men, like by nature, they're a little bit wired a little bit differently.
There's very true.
Yeah, they're more outward focused and on, like, you know, image, or like going and fighting their way into the world.
Like, their journey is just a little harder, I feel like in that sense. Yeah. But
that's perfect as well, because that's their journey and that's their energy. But we as women reconnecting to our divine feminine, that's the journey to go within and to actually realize that we're magnetic and that we don't have to be men and go out into the world and fight, which we've been doing in the past, but we can actually be in our goddess, be in our divine feminine, be magnetic, and actually have it come to us. And that's the inner journey that we go in. It doesn't mean that it's not active. It doesn't mean that we're not taking action. We're taking different action, and it's our self-alignment, our soul alignment action that we take by shifting our energy. And through the shift in our energy, we start attracting new things, and we start having new ideas, and we start taking different action.
And that's beautiful, because I know in the book, like, for anybody who is interested in knowing how to take action, it's all over here. Like, it's here. So this is a really good source to go to for you divine feminines out there, and divine masculines too. We're not forgetting.
So, yes. Come on over, guys. We love you.
It's all here in the book, which is amazing. Like, it's like step by step, and it's incredible. Like, even from like even your soul coming in before coming into this 3D reality. And I love that conversation, which is amazing. And I love it. Now, also, now that you have obviously stepped into purpose and mission, how do you go about that and living it? Like, actually creating a life that you can live in that element. Can you share a little bit of your experience, or what you want people to know, maybe?
Yeah, I think the very, very first step is really about finding out what type of life do you want. And that is really beyond all the limitations and belief systems that we've been conditioned with.
100%.
And a question, yeah, and a question that I really like to ask my clients is, if there were no limitations and no consequences, what would you be doing? Just like taking all of that stuff that you've been conditioned with, like, just put that in a box for a moment. You can still put that box, you can put it over there, and if you still want to keep all the stuff that's in there, you can still pick it up later on. That's okay. But just for a moment, what if there were no limitations and consequences? What would your life actually look like? What would your perfect day look like? What would you be doing? Because for me, honestly, what happened was when I quit my job, because I just couldn't handle it anymore. Yes, I had savings and I wasn't worried about money at that point at all. But I was just, my body was just shutting down. Like I couldn't go there anymore. I couldn't push myself to go. Yeah. And so I was just like, I'm out of here, guys. Like I got to do something else. I have no idea what, but I'm just going to go now. And what then happened for me was that for actually almost a year, I was resisting a little bit what I knew intuitively, what I was supposed to be doing, but what was right for me in alignment. Yeah. And I was still in that startup mindset, in that identity of, what people think, and I'm committing corporate suicide, and I should be doing something.
It takes time other people to get rid of those fear-based thoughts. Like it takes time. Like let's, I get it.
Yeah. At that time, I also wasn't that versed in, neurolinguistic programming, belief systems, really releasing belief systems on an unconscious mind level. And I wasn't that aware and conscious of everything that was going on for me. And so, yeah, I was still in that type of mindset. So I wanted to create a meditation app, and then I wanted to create a coaching app. So I wanted to create things that would still feed my ego and my identity.
Yes.
Until I got a coach, and she just helped me really align with my soul. And she just plain out told me, like, you got to put your face on it. You have to put yourself out there, and you got to be visible, and you got to be seen. And that was really scary for me, because I came from this whole business background, having made a name for myself kind of in business. And then I actually started out just talking a lot about spirituality and just reading people's energy and sharing about their soul and about what I see in their past lives and like spiritual guidance just by reading their energy and all of that stuff. So it was so intangible that it felt really, really uncomfortable for me.
I can imagine.
But I think
I know. So I was like, actually, yes, it's very true. It's so true though, because the thing is, like, that alone is a lot of work that you have to put through for yourself. So bravo.
Yeah. But I think really purpose and finding your purpose and moving along that path, it's a step-by-step experience. Because even now, I do have a sense for my purpose and where I'm going, but it will always shift a little bit with every level that you reach. Your purpose is going to mold itself into something new, and it's going to shift and change, and you're going to have new insights on where you're going to go next.
That is a really good point. To interrupt you, because people think purpose is one thing. It's not, because when you ascend, or if you change and you keep changing, like you were saying, it does change. So that's a really good point. For sure.
And I read the book, what's it called? Playing the Matrix by Mike Dooley. I don't know if you've read it.
I haven't read it. I've heard of it though.
But there was one part that I would love to share. He starts off in the beginning sharing an analogy about, what we want as people, as human beings. We always want certainty, and we want clarity, and we want direction. And everyone I talk to, they tell me, I want to know for sure what my purpose is. And when I know exactly what my purpose is, then I will take action. It's like, I get it. I get that need, but that's just not how it works.
No,
I'm sorry. Like, you have to have faith and trust, and you will only be shown the next step and the next step. You will never see the full picture. So this whole need for certainty, like if you have that and that's really important and you're not willing to let that go, purpose is probably not the right thing to go after, or any kind of personal growth or self-actualization in that matter.
It's very good. And it's a very good point too, because faith and trust is definitely needed. And there's so many things in the unseen that is not meant for you to see until you're actually there to see it. So amen to that.
And
go ahead.
Can I just quickly share, because he shares in the beginning of the book that just imagine yourself sitting in a car and you have your GPS and you type in you want to go to, let's say, Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. Okay, the navigation system knows it's Los Angeles, and the navigation system knows exactly where you're at right now.
Yeah.
you don't really know this whole path. You don't know you're going to turn left, right, go on the highway, or when to get off the highway whatsoever. And all you have to do in this moment in order to get direction from that navigation system is actually, you have to move your car. You have to start moving in some direction. Otherwise, it won't tell you, go left, go right, go straight, turn around.
Yep.
And I love that, the way he put it, because it's so relatable. You know, this is so easy for everyone to understand, that yes, if you're in your car and you're not driving, the navigation system won't be telling you, make a legal U-turn.
No.
It will just not talk to you at all. And it's also not necessary to know the full extent of how many left turns or right turns you're going to make. You just need to know the next one. And as long as you are moving, you will be told left, right. And what often also happens, that people get stuck in that, I don't know if this is the right choice. Is this the right choice for me right now? And then they hesitate and just stall. And the only thing we need to do is just to make any choice. Because as soon as we make any choice, the navigation system is going to tell us, turn around or go left, go right. But if we stand there and we don't move anymore, then it's the same problem again. No information.
It's very true. That's really true. And it's beautiful that you touch on those subjects, because it's you do have to move, you do have to put in the work, you do have to make an effort. And yeah. Yes, that's all beautiful. So thank you for that. I feel like we're running out of time, so I just want to get you to talk about what's coming up for you very quickly and where people can find you. And if anybody is looking for this type of information, or to, of course, work with you, which they should, because she's the bomb. Or just, if you could just speak about what's coming up for you next, and then where people can find you, and that'll be perfect.
Absolutely. I think the very best way to really find me and to also get some value up front is through, right now, I'm offering my book as a PDF download on my website. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. Like, that's a very special offer, limited time. Exactly. It's the PDF version.
Cool.
And it's at SharonKirstin.com/free book. Okay. And if they're going to watch this when that is over, another really great way to get some more information is through SharonKirstin.com/purpose, where you can find a full video training that is kind of, it touches upon many things in the book. It's an accompanying training and gives additional support of being on that path to finding purpose and to igniting that, those spiritual superpowers that we have.
Amazing. Okay, perfect.
And yeah, and of course on Amazon.
Of
Get
course,
the books, guys.
I'll definitely put all the links in the description below, so everybody can click and find you wherever they need to find you. I obviously follow you on Instagram as well, and I'll also put that.
Oh yes, Instagram. I love Instagram. Yes, follow me on Instagram.
Yes, I'll put all the links below in the description box when I upload the video, of course, so people can find you. But any final words? Anything that you want to end off with?
Well, Michelle, thank you so much for having me.
Oh
this was such a lovely chat. It was amazing to have this opportunity to share with you, and just to have this space and this container to allow what needed to come through, really to come through. And I really hope it serves everybody who's watching.
Thank you so much, Sharon. And guys, the Answers Within, okay, this is the book. I will put all the information in the description box. Thank you so much.
Thank you.